There is a state of emergency in the city of Charlottesville, Virginia, as we approach the anniversary of that white nationalist rally that ended in a woman's death. And that same group that held that rally is now set to hold a repeat rally, except this time it will be right across from the White House.
Unite the Right is the same group that held last year's volatile event in Charlottesville, Virginia. That ended with a deadly car attack that killed one person and injured many others. This location is just across the street from the White House. Still, park officials have given permits to both white nationalist rally organizers and counter-protesters. They say the two will be kept separate, but emergency operations here in D.C. will be
91-year-old man beaten with a brick.
Yeah,
it's horrific.
Because he bumped into. He's 91. So how fast was he walking?
Yeah, or 92
Okay.
even, I think. Yeah.
Bumped into a kid, and the family went. And you said you thought he was passing and he bumped into a little girl. You thought he was trying to snatch her. He's 91. How fast was he going?
A 92-year-old man is recovering after he was brutally beaten with a brick while taking a walk on July 4th. Rodolfo Rodriguez suffered broken ribs, broken cheekbone, and bruises from the incident.
CBS Los Angeles' Rachel Kim spoke with the man's outraged family.
92-year-old Rodolfo Rodriguez is in pain after a vicious attack. Broken ribs, a broken cheekbone, bruises all over his body. This normally healthy and active grandfather says it all started just before 8 p.m. on July 4th as he went out for a walk in Willowbrook. On the sidewalk, he says he bumped into a little girl as he was trying to get around her. That's when he says this woman, believed to be the girl's mom, threw him to the ground and started hitting him with her fists, then a brick.
I'm just overwhelmed of how anybody can actually do this to any human being at all. He's 92 years of age. There's no harm that he meant in general for you to treat him the way.
Multiple shots fired at 1628 Avers, and to the positive, looks like there's a few people down.
Crime scene tape marked block after block of Chicago's most violent neighborhoods this weekend.
81st and Fairfield, they said they heard 15 shots.
Everybody in this city should be tired of it.
Leaving the city's leaders deep in frustration.
This is not Chicago.
Exhausted by 4 chronically troubled police districts on the south and west sides, ones with high unemployment, closing schools, drugs, and illegal firearms, which echoed with gunfire Saturday and Sunday.
80 shots fired southwest of 2705.
Deadly gun violence is surging in Chicago once again. Police say at least 57 people were shot since Friday evening during one of the most violent weekends on record. At least 11 were killed. There were 25 victims from 5 shootings during one particularly aggressive 2.5-hour
Chicago
period.
police say over a 24-hour period, 34 people were shot and 5 died. The youngest survivor is an 11-year-old shot in the
now
leg.
a horrific attack in a country facing one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world. An airstrike in Yemen, killing dozens of people, many of them children, when the bomb came down on their school bus. We want to warn you, some of these images are graphic. We get details on the attack from NBC's Matt Bradley.
The images disturbing and heartbreaking. Children pouring into a hospital, most of them under 10 years old, still wearing their backpacks and school uniforms covered in blood. After their school bus was hit by a bomb, a crater at the site of the airstrike, the smoke from the blast visible from miles away. Tonight, at least 29 children returning from a school picnic among the dozens killed. Aid groups demanding an investigation.
Children shouldn't be collateral damage.
This little boy, covered in soot and surrounded by the dead just minutes after the strike, was asked if he was okay. My legs hurt.
Now to a shocking discovery made by police. While they were searching for a missing 3-year-old, officers uncovering a rural compound in New Mexico where 11 children were living with no little food and no water. ABC's Ariel Reshef is here with the latest. Good morning, Ariel.
Good morning to you, Michael. Authorities were searching for that 3-year-old, but say what they discovered shocked the conscience of even the most seasoned in law enforcement. Those squalid conditions for those 11 children, the worst they had ever seen.
This morning, investigators are searching for a 3-year-old boy after New Mexico authorities discovered 11 emaciated children inside this secluded compound.
I'm a 30-year police officer. This is by far the worst thing I've ever seen as far as living conditions. This one hit us all very hard.
Authorities saying they found no running water or electricity, and those children ages 1 to 15 living in filth in a tent tucked deep in the desert.
These children, the best way to describe it is they literally look like starving refugees.
Revealed new information about a remote New Mexico compound where children allegedly were found with no clean food, no water, or electricity. One of the 5 adults accused of child abuse allegedly trained kids to carry out school shootings.
3 women facing child abuse charges appeared in a New Mexico court Wednesday for the first time. According to court documents, when authorities raided their remote northern New Mexico compound last week, they found 11 children clothed in rags and appearing to not have eaten in days. Authorities had been searching for one of the suspects, Siraj Abin Wahaj. He's believed to have kidnapped his then 3-year-old son, Abdul Ghani Wahaj, from Georgia back in December. In a Facebook video in January, Abdul's mother pleaded for her son's safe return.
He's sick. He needs his medication. He need everything.
According to an arrest warrant, Wahaj told Abdul's mother he planned to perform an exorcism on his son because he believed he was possessed by the devil. Investigators found the remains of a young boy at the compound, but have not confirmed if it's Abdul. According to court documents, authorities also found loaded firearms. Prosecutors say one of the children told their foster parent Wahaj had trained them in the use of an assault rifle in preparation for future school shootings.
Teen Vogue recently released an opinion article claiming abortion can be funny. That's the topic for this week's Speak Out segment. The outlet released a July article titled Lady Parts Justice League Fights Anti-Abortion Stigma with Humor. The op-ed writer is a member of what she calls a grassroots, comedy-driven pro-abortion organization. The so-called comedy group tours around in a van hosting shows, barbecues, and parties to, quote, celebrate abortion. Part of the goal, according to the writer, is to normalize the abortion procedure.
Exodus from an earthquake. Extraordinary scenes on a vacation beach. Hundreds trying to escape. It's not my pussy! Boats overwhelmed. They'd survive this, a 1-minute-long deadly quake felt by millions that sent many running for their lives. Here as a ceiling collapses.
Oh my God, the earth is shaking. Oh my God, things are dropping.
The roof started falling down on us, rocks and rubble, and then just everyone
Not
running.
long after the earthquake, another shock. A tsunami warning.
It was literally, everyone started running to the hills.
My dad made me climb onto the roof of our house.
Thousands of buildings weakened by another deadly quake last week collapsed. Scores of locals died. Tens of thousands are homeless tonight. Officials warning the death toll will rise.
Hailstorm that hit Colorado. It injured more than a dozen people, destroyed hundreds of cars. ABC's Clayton Sandell is there in Colorado Springs with the latest. Good morning, Clayton.
People trapped in cars by icy projectiles said the hailstorm sounded like gunfire. The Cheyenne Mountain Zoo in Colorado Springs pummeled. 14 people injured, 5 seriously.
The hail was so hard. My daughter got taken to the hospital.
Grizzly bears bombarded, scrambling for shelter as softball-sized hailstones come crashing down. The zoo walkways cleared as more than 3,000 people took cover. The downpour echoing inside as the storm knocks tree branches to the ground. The massive chunks of hail shattering windows, damaging 300 cars, sending debris flying and damaging homes. On the roads, drivers forced to pull over. This cop car's windows shattered, and this dashboard taking a major hit from the tennis ball-sized ice. Back windows shattered to
Now with the
pieces.
environmental disaster plaguing more than 100 miles of American coastline, even making it hard to breathe in some cases. It's destroying marine life, local businesses, and family vacations. Here's ABC's Victor Okendo.
This is what a marine disaster looks like. Beaches littered with dead fish, manatees, even a whale shark washing ashore.
I've been here for 20 years, and this is probably the worst I've ever seen.
100+ miles of coastline from Naples to Sarasota, ravaged by what's called
Hundreds
the
of
red
sea
tide.
turtles, thousands of fish, and dozens of manatees have died, washing up on shore, poisoned by a toxic algae bloom called
The Mendocino
red tide.
complex wildfire in Northern California is now the largest in state history. Think about that for a second. It's burned more than 443 square miles, an area nearly as large as the city of Los Angeles. The Mendocino complex is one of 15 large fires burning in California today. John Blackstone is in Ukiah with how conditions for 14,000 firefighters on the front lines are getting worse. John, good morning.
Took the Mendocino complex fire just 10 days to make history as California's largest fire ever. And it comes at a time when huge wildfires are breaking out across the state. What's it been like here the last couple of years?
We've been busy.
CAL FIRE spokesman Will Powers is on the front lines. The Mendocino complex fire is actually two adjacent fires, now covering more than 440 square miles. That's an area more than 100 square miles bigger than New York City.
Over the last decade, we made incredible progress to advance equality for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people.
Together, we repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell,
and opened up the military to transgender service members.
We work to prevent and address bullying in our schools.
We fought against discrimination in housing, in the workplace, and in healthcare,
so that every person has a shot at the American dream.
And because love is love, we brought marriage equality to every state in the nation.
But despite this progress, today, far too many LGBTQ folks
continue to face rejection at home and discrimination in their communities.
This kind of rejection leads to heartbreaking outcomes.
40% of homeless youth identify as LGBTQ.
Many of them have been kicked out of their homes or no longer find it safe to stay at home.
Gay, lesbian, and bisexual youth are 5 times more likely than their straight peers to have attempted suicide.
40% of transgender and gender nonconforming adults report having attempted suicide at some point in their lives.
Most of them before the age of 25.
Some parents subject their children to the vile practice of conversion therapy,
or pressure them to keep their identities secret.
It doesn't have to be this way.
That's why I'm so proud to announce that the Biden Foundation has launched a family acceptance campaign. We'll use our resources to highlight the harms of family rejection and to lift up research, best practices, and personal stories to show the importance of family acceptance.
Stories like these have incredible power.
To inspire, to remind,
to create communities,
to heal families,
to move us towards a culture of acceptance, not rejection.
And we want to hear from you.
If you are an LGBTQ person who has experienced rejection or acceptance,
we want to hear from you.
If you are a parent,
we want to hear from you.
If you are a teacher, a coach,
friend,
neighbor,
co-worker,
sibling,
or ally,
we want to hear from you too.
By sharing your stories, we can work together to change the culture and ensure a bright future for the LGBTQ young people in America.
let's take some time to bring it on as we look at the questions that you've submitted online. Pat, this first one is from Michael, who says, is it okay for a church group to attend happy hour every other Wednesday at a lounge or bar as to bring people to salvation while they also engage in drinking? The pastor is aware of this, it's out in the open, and they encourage people from the church to invite their unsaved friends to come to happy hour. Is this right? I'm very confused and wonder if I should look for another church.
Michael, if you see the example of Jesus, he went where they were. They said he was a companion of drunkards. He was a wine bibber. He went where people were drinking wine, where they were having banquets. As a matter of fact, he changed water into wine at a wedding. I think, why not go out where people are? They're looking for love, and they're looking for understanding, and if you can bring the knowledge of Jesus to them, the fact that they're having a cocktail along with it is not going to diminish the gospel message. So I think it's good, but if you feel it's a sin, then don't do it. But other than that, I think it's intelligent evangelism.